Welcome into Hockey Sense, everybody. Our Friday tradition. Live from Half Coast Studios. Great to have you with us. Aiden's in the house. First Community brings us Hockey Sense each and every week. We got a great show for you. Jeff Merrick is going to join us. We got lots to get into with him. And then Jamal Mayers, live from San Jose, will also appear on this edition of Hockey Sense. So we look forward to that. First Community. I don't have to tell you about it. Everything is more expensive than it used to be. We all know that. And that includes insurance. And you know we got to have it. You got to have your insurance, but man, it adds up big time. And that's why you need to shop around. So don't just let your insurance renew and get charged higher premiums without doing your homework. You got to see what else is out there. And First Community Credit Union, a name you know and trust, especially here in St. Louis, they want you to know that First Community Insurance, they want you to know they can offer a quote on anything from homeowners, home insurance, auto insurance, health insurance, even for your small business. The dedicated staff knows insurance. You need to know that. And they can help answer any questions you have. You can visit firstcommunity.com, click on the insurance tab. There's an insurance tab, then you can learn all about it. You got to love that. First Community brings us Hockey Sense each and every week. You see Blue Note Roofing over my shoulder, 314-920-5713. Call my boy David Novak today. Get that free estimate. Wind, hail damage. We just had some crazy weather just a few nights ago. And so if you suffered any type of damage, call David Novak. He'll talk hockey with you, but also give you the best price and take advantage of all the great relationships he has with all the big insurance companies, gutters, siding, roofing, soffit, fascia, whatever it is you need, let them take care of you. And a little secret, a lot of times these insurance companies, they will not pay for your new roof once it's 10 years of age or older. So if you have a roof that's somewhere around 8, 9 years of age, get that estimate, see if you're ready for a new roof, and then the insurance companies will pay for it and you don't have to pay for it. So there's a little tricky tip for you. So take advantage of that from First Community. Dirt Cheap Fun, your one-stop party shop. We love our friends over there at Dirt Cheap, baby. The Wallace family taking St. Louis to the next level, one dirt cheap at a time. And you got to love that. They got everything. Don't sleep on their paper goods for all the parties, all the party paper goods, decorations, paper plates, all that type of stuff. Best selection of beer, wine, and booze you'll find anywhere. They've got that walk-in beer cooler that's incredible. The temperature is almost going to be hot enough where if you can't find me, I'm going to be hanging out inside that beer cooler, where it's always cool. Download the app today. That's where you get all the great deals because they always have great specials, but you got to download the app to get them off the app. That's where the best deals are. So good they call them steals. Discounts on Blues game day, discounts on Cardinals game day. So get to a Dirt Cheap, free delivery. You download the app, you get free delivery if you live within 10 miles of a Dirt Cheap location and use that promo code Blues Hockey. You will get free delivery. So how nice is that? Dirt Cheap Fun, your one-stop party shop, baby. Easy Tiger. You heard us talking about Easy Tiger on the Cam and Strick podcast. And I want to tell you about my boys over with Easy Tiger, based out of Arizona, but now they're going to be going nationwide. High-end cannabis brand built for people who appreciate top shelf quality. That's what you get with Easy Tiger. Born in Arizona, built with intention, expanding super fast. They're going to be everywhere, like I said. So they're going to be in a store near you very, very soon. They don't do mid. They don't do average. Every product is premium, curated, dialed in. It's all about confidence with Easy Tiger. Control and elevated experiences. So this edition of Hockey Sense is brought to you by Easy Tiger, premium top-shelf cannabis out of Arizona, and trust us, they don't play in the minor leagues. All their products, top shelf, hand-selected, high potency, grown for flavor, powerful effects, no shortcuts. If you're a real connoisseur, flavor-forward, smooth, heavy-hitting, Easy Tiger is built for you. EasyTiger.com. They started in Arizona, but they're expanding fast, so keep your eyes open. Easy Tiger. Great to have Easy Tiger with us here on hockey sense. Lordo's Diamonds, get that special someone, something special in your life. The best selection of engagement rings you'll find anywhere is at Lordo's Diamonds, lordosdiamonds.com. Say hi to Mike and Jimmy Lordo. Stop on in. Right next to Truffles, right there in the heart of Ladue. If you have any questions, you can call them. 314-432-8008. lordosdiamonds.com is the website. They've been around for 70 years. You got to be kidding me. They're doing something right, and you know that. It is definitely the case with Lordo's Diamonds. They are the absolute best. Best selection. You go in there with a $500,000 budget or a $500 budget or a $100 budget, you're getting treated the exact same as somebody's coming in there with deep pockets. You won't get treated any differently by Mike and Jimmy. The absolute best. All right. The Blues are 6-1-1 since the Olympic break. They keep winning. Their goaltending is outrageous. Jimmy Snuggerud is scoring goals. Robert Thomas looks like one of the best players in the league again. What are we thinking here? Talk to me, people. I want to see it in the comments. Where are we at? What do you want from this team? Do you want them just to keep losing? I shouldn't say keep losing. Do you want them just to lose out and get the highest draft pick possible? Or now that they sit 6 points out, and that could change after tonight. They play against Edmonton at home tonight before they hit the road. 3 winnable games on the road in Winnipeg, Calgary, then Vancouver. A lot of road games coming up this month still. Then they come home, have some tougher games. Washington, Colorado, I believe. Toronto comes to St. Louis. Although Toronto, they won their first game in forever last night. A lot of people talking about Austin Matthews and nobody coming to his defense. I'm not going to get into it now because we talk about it with Jeff Merrick and with Jammer as well, so you can hear their take on it. But you just got to love the way the Blues are playing right now. It's so hard to just expect these guys to lose. The coaching staff isn't preparing the team to lose when they prepare for every game. They're just not trying to find ways to lose. And yeah, when you lose a lot, down the stretch, you move on from certain guys, like a Braden Shen, like a Justin Falk. All of a sudden, Logan Mailloux gets more opportunity. All of a sudden, Teo Lindstein's in the lineup. Otto Stenberg's in the lineup. Dvorsky stays in the lineup. So that happens. And you may be putting together a lineup that's more about getting guys experience and getting their feet wet to set the team up and the franchise up moving forward. But when you get this type of goaltending and all of a sudden you have a line that is going as well as the Thomas Snuggerud Holloway line, then you've got something. And they've got responsible, heavy players down the lineup on their fourth line, guys who have size, who can wear you down, who can skate like a Toropchenko. All of a sudden, this Jack Finley's winning faceoffs, made a nice play to Pavel Buchnevich on the empty net goal that sealed it last night for the Blues in Carolina. The Carolina team's a good team. They work hard. And the Blues knew going into that game they had to have second and third effort. They had to be aware of how hard Carolina plays and how good their forecheck is, and they were. And they got heavily outplayed in the first period. I mean, it looked like that game was going to be a blowout at one point. But again, the Blues had a little bit of luck. Carolina missed some empty nets. And Jordan Binnington was absolutely spectacular in the game. When he stopped 31 of 32, his number since the Olympic break in the 3 games that he's played has been outrageous. And all of a sudden, if he's going to play like that, and you've got Joel Hofer, who's playing as well as any goaltender in the league right now, then it's going to be hard for the Blues just to all of a sudden tank as people want them to do. We've made some comments on the Candlestick podcast in regards to the roster right now, and some people come at me about Pavel Buchnevich's contract and whatnot. And I love it, man. I love it when people listen to the podcast and they're passionate, they're emotional, and they want to shoot their opinion. I get it, but my point was with Pavel Buchnevich, if you have a quality team and he's on it, and he's slotted in the right position, and he's stacked on your roster properly, meaning you're not asking him to drive the bus every night to be your best player, then I don't mind his contract. We'll see how it ages. I'm talking about in the now. It's the first year of a 6-year deal. What that looks like 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, we just can't predict. But if the Blues truly build a team that is capable of having success and reaching the playoffs and, potentially even making some noise once they do get to the playoffs. And you have a player like him who can kill penalties, um, chip in offensively, play a smart, intelligent game, then those players are valuable on your roster. Doesn't mean they're elite offensive players or his numbers are going to get back to maybe where they were when he first came over from the New York Rangers, where he was a point per game guy his first couple of seasons here. I wouldn't expect him ever to get back to that level from an offensive standpoint. But if you look at overall impact on the game, um, I'm not critical of Pavel Buchnevich's play. I think he's really helping the team right now in a lot of different ways. And as you continue to get better and better, and as some of these young guys get here and evolve and start to take over and inherit significant roles offensively, and all of a sudden now you can slot guys properly, it's a real positive sign. I'm loving this Logan Mailloux right now. You saw flashes of it early in training camp when he first got here. You're talking to veteran players and you're asking them just in private conversations, hey, how's this Mailloux look? And they're like, dude, this guy is absolutely legit with his ability to skate and play with the puck. And once he gets going and gets some confidence, he's going to be a good player. And you're starting to see that now with the way he and Fowler are playing together. And I love Broberg, what he's doing right now. I mean, it's just, it was Broberg and Mailloux who were together last night because they had Lindstein and Parayko together. So he kind of mixed things around a little bit. But I just love the way Broberg plays, and I love the way Mailloux plays. And when those guys were on the ice, the Blues just looked to be in control. They could handle the level and the style of play that Carolina was throwing at them. So it's not about deserving to win. The Blues probably didn't deserve to win last night, but goaltending's part of the game. People forget that. But they were getting so badly outplayed, the fact that they were able to win that game is just absolutely incredible. But, I was talking to Jim Montgomery about this after the game, and they didn't make a ton of adjustments. You're looking at the first period and you're saying, hey, they really have to adjust. Jamie Rivers was talking about on the broadcast of start, reversing the play in the defensive zone in an effort to escape the forecheck and create more space to attack up ice and get the puck up the strong side, maybe go weak side. You got to create some type of confusion for what Carolina was doing. But Jim Montgomery's like, no, we really didn't make any significant adjustments. We just knew that we had to start winning puck battles. I thought the forwards and the D were a little too spread out in the first period. It was making it difficult on the defensemen to make a play to get the puck into the hands of the forwards. And if they did, there was a Carolina defender right on top of them, and there was just no space to be able to make any plays, and that's why they were turning the puck over so much. But they started to show that second and third effort that Jim Montgomery was talking about earlier in the day, and started to win more puck battles, spend more time in the offensive end, not as much time defending, and they were able to get a couple of goals. Jimmy Snuggerud is now, he's just evolving from a confidence standpoint. You just wonder, as he continues to play, can he knock at the door and potentially find his way into the top three in the Calder Trophy race? A final 15, 16, 18 games, whatever they have left, could certainly do it. If this guy ends up with 23, 24 goals on the season, then he may end up being there if he can stay hot. But he's going to flirt with 20, and I wouldn't be surprised now. He's sitting at 15, tied for the team lead with Kyrou and Thomas. If he all of a sudden reaches 20 and even pads his stats a little bit more. So, listen, the Blues are 6 points out. I'm not going to sit here and say anything other than, dare I say it, could they actually find a way to get into the playoffs? Now, they lose a couple of games and it's game over. They lose a couple of games in a row. They got to win tonight on home ice against Edmonton. And the schedule's crazy. It's not easy. It's hard. Edmonton got blown out by Dallas last night. Did not look good at all. They've got goaltending issues, goaltending concerns, and they just seem to be like a mess. That's why everyone keeps asking, like, Jordan Binnington, did he consider going to Edmonton? No. Like, listen, he's got the NHL hockey package too, just like the rest of us. And he sees how terrible their defense is there in Edmonton. Why would he want to go play there? I know it's the McDavid-Draisaitl factor, and those two guys are in a league of their own, and who wouldn't want to play with those guys? But when you're a goalie and you've got that group of defensemen playing in front of you every single night, who's signing up for that? Why does everyone keep saying that? Just because they need a goaltender. Why would Jordan Binnington want to go to Edmonton anyway and play for the Edmonton Oilers with the group that currently exists? I've always said that if there's one team I could see Jordan Binnington wanting to play for before it's all said and done, before his career is done, that would maybe be close to his heart would be the Toronto Maple Leafs, just because he's from there, and I would imagine maybe that would be a team he'd want to play for. But not under the current circumstances there either. They're just not good enough. So you just wonder how this plays out with Binnington. Listen, he's gonna, and if he stays, it's a slam dunk. I think even if he doesn't end up staying here long term, there's a decent chance we see his jersey retired, his number hanging from the rafters, a statue out in front. I don't know. Who's to say there wouldn't be? If he stays, I think he would 100% give him that opportunity. Would he accept a Marc-Andre Fleury type role where he's almost a 1B behind Joel Hofer, but knowing that if you're playing the better of the two, you're going to get the ball and have the opportunity to take it and run with it? It just all depends on what that next contract looks like for Jordan Binnington. What's he looking for? Does he want to get paid $6 million again? If he does, it probably wouldn't happen here. But if he's willing to take less just to stay, then that's always a possibility. I don't see any goaltenders really knocking at the door right now in the Blues organization to get here anytime soon, so they would have to find a guy on the outside anyway. And maybe Herenstam is going to be that guy down the stretch. He's a finalist for the MVP, their version of the Hart Trophy in the Swedish League. And he's obviously had a great year winning the World Junior Championships. And, you just want to see these guys get over here to North America and get a real feel for who they are. They got the goaltender in the trade with the Islanders too, who's a big kid playing over in Sweden. Not on a very good team. I know the Blues got a Russian prospect in the Red Wings deal for Justin Falk, and maybe he's got some promise. He just signed a contract extension to stay over in the KHL, but he's putting up some points, but he's not on a very competitive team in the KHL. Sometimes when you're on a worse team or a bad team, you get more ice time as a young player, get more opportunities, and it appears that he's having some success. I don't know enough about him to really know where he's at, if he's truly on the radar. I mean, the fact that the Red Wings were willing to part with him tells you a little bit of something. I think some insiders or people who follow the draft and prospects had him ranked as like their 8th best prospect in the organization. So certainly not super high. Most teams' 8th best prospect in their organization, it certainly isn't a slam dunk that they end up playing in the National Hockey League. So we'll have to give some time for that. I am excited about Jiricek and some of these other guys, and Carbonneau, who continues to score goals in the Quebec League. I do think Carbonneau is going to need some time in the American League, and why not let him kind of marinate down there? But the way Snuggerud is shooting the puck right now, and playing with a guy like Robert Thomas, this is where if you're a goal scorer, it's a dream. You just keep your stick on the ice, get open, find the open spots, and he's going to find you. And with Snuggerud's natural ability to put the puck in the net, he's going to have an opportunity to score a lot of goals, and that's what we're seeing right now. And with Dylan Holloway working as hard as he's working, this guy is an absolute dog on a bone in terms of how hard he forechecks, how relentless he is as a player. And so now the thing is, you got to get Dvorsky going a little bit. I think his game has gotten it's flatlined a little bit. Jake Neighbors flatlined a little bit. Kyrou, he's kind of up and down, but he's playing with those two players and just not really showing a whole lot of chemistry with Dvorsky and with who did I just say? That is also with Neighbors. They're just not showing a lot of chemistry. I think Kyrou misses Shen a little bit. Those two guys played real well together. So Kyrou's got to find his game now. He's probably would rather play with Thomas or Holloway, but hey, you're not splitting that lineup right now. So Kyrou's got to find a way to get going, but it would help if Dvorsky and Neighbors would elevate their game a little bit too. That power play unit's not seeing a ton of power play time. The Thomas line is out there. They're getting some zone time, and they're taking up, 60, 70% of the power play. So by the time the Kyrou unit comes on the ice, there's not much time left. So you'd like to see that line get going and start scoring some goals, and maybe tonight's the night that they do that against Edmonton. All right, let's shift gears and talk to Jeff Merrick. He joins me next. Then we'll have Jamal Mayers after that here on this edition of Hockey Sense, live from Half Coast Studios, brought to you by our friends over at First Community. Winning isn't everything, but it sure is nice. Winning isn't everything, but it sure is nice. First Community, just announced as a winner of America's Best Regional Credit Unions by Newsweek Magazine and Plant A Insights Group. The survey, which was over 66,000 individuals, included over 140,000 reviews of regional banks and credit unions. Only one credit union in St. Louis received this honor, and there's a reason for that. Come find out why. FirstCommunity.com. Tell them Andy Strickland sent you. Blue No Roofing, again, 314-920-5713. Easy Tiger Cannabis. It's smooth. It's top shelf. Check that out online. You can order online as well. Dirt Cheap Fun, your one-stop party shop. Lordo's Diamonds, lordosdiamonds.com, right there in the heart of Ladue. Frontenac Detailing. I got another call the other day. Somebody was interested in detailing their car. There's only one place to go. Frontenac Detailing, right there in the inside Honda Frontenac. In Frontenac. It's not part of the dealership, but they are inside the dealership. Kirkwood Fence and Hackett Security, baby. When I'm on the road, I feel secure knowing that my house is secure with Hackett Security. Your business can be secure with Hackett Security as well. Check it out online, HackettSecurity.com. See why they take care of so many government officials and buildings and businesses throughout the United States, not just here in St. Louis, but throughout the country. Hackett Security. Let them secure your home or business, and do it today. All right, let's step aside. Jeff Merrick joins me next on this edition of Hockey Sense. All right, always great to have Jeff Merrick with us.
Hey, buddy.
Thanks for doing this as always.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure. I love being on with you.
What's the weather in Toronto like right now? Is it still kind of wintry or is it nice?
Okay, so great question. Let's see. What time is it? We've had like the weirdest couple of weeks. It was hot enough that I was wearing dry fits and running shoes and running outside about a week and a half ago. And it's been, sort of off and on, getting a little bit cooler. Right now, it's flat out cold, and we're expecting anywhere between 10 to 15 centimeters of snow. We get this.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we get this. Like, there's that one sort of reminder that March gives you.
Mm-hmm.
I live in southwestern Ontario, and just when you think winter is done, there's always one more blast.
Yeah.
Just to remind that sucker punch when the linesman gets one guy wrapped up and the other guy gets a cheapie in. That's kind of like what it's like. That's what it's like here when it comes to the snow. But we're at the end of it here, Andy. We're very much at the end of it. This is the last shot at it.
Before we get into some stuff, because before we started this, you kind of showed me around your studio there. You got a lot of books. Are you reading hockey books? Are you reading history? What are you reading the most? People could see you got a lot of books going on over there.
I've read way too many books in my life. I was an English major, Andy. My whole plan for my career was I'm going to be a tenured English prof and, walk the groves of academe and be a, conference hopping, published, prof. And then somehow I ended up taking a job in sports media back in 94 foreign promotions just as a summer job. I kept saying, oh, I'll go do my master's next year. I'll do my PhD. It's on the horizon. And I kept putting it off. And eventually I stopped saying I'd go back. But I've always read hockey books my whole life. Like I grew up, like the Hockey Hall of Fame was my babysitter. My parents would drop me off there and I'd write everything. I have a little notebook and write everything down and memorize it and make my parents test me on it. And I've always just loved reading. Like my mom, when I was young, introduced me to Agatha Christie mystery novels. And like, that's what set me on this like journey of fiction. Like 2 weeks ago, I just picked up Frankenstein again, Mary Shelley's masterwork. But generally right now it's a combination. Like I'll always have like 3 or 4 books on the go. And it'll be any combination of hockey books, usually biographies. It'll be a combination of hockey books or military history, or it'll be works of fiction that I've long put off, thinking that, when I retire, I'll go read, James Joyce. Yeah. I'll go read Ulysses, like when I'm done. I'm sort of at an age now where it's like, hey, buddy, all those works you've put off that you said you wanted to read, you might want to start to get at those now.
What do you want to do, though? Would you ever write a book? Like, you're so smart.
Yes.
Okay. So, like,
yeah, one day. I
haven't done,
I will one day.
Yeah, and within the industry that maybe, I mean, listen, we can all talk hockey till we're blue in the face until we're, 100 years old.
Yeah.
What else kind of like is like, hey, I want to do that. I want to challenge myself with this. This really interests me.
That is the thing that I want to do. One day I do want to write a book, and I've got a couple of ideas bouncing around my head that I'd like to do. But man, like I'm like you, like we're 24/7 following this game right now. And I very much believe that if you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. And you need to know what's going on around the league at all times, and not just NHL, but like, me, I'm a big junior hockey guy as well. So there's, add 60 plus teams more to follow there. But the one thing, like whenever I've had to do like a studio setup, like I do now, one of the tricks that I learned early in my career, Andy, is if you want to make someone look smart on camera, put glasses on them and books behind them. And I can do both. Honestly, it's just ignore the man behind the curtain. I just fake the funk. I just put on my glasses and I put books behind me, and everyone says, "Wow, he must be smart. Those are books."
Hey, it's working. I know you said junior hockey. I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, but how much have you seen Adam Yurosek play with Brampton? And
I just watched him last Friday against the Oshawa Generals in Brantford.
What'd you report on him?
He's super legit, man. Like what you saw at the World Juniors, where Jiricek was one of, if not maybe the best player in the entire tournament, like that's legit. Like the Blues are getting a really, really good one here. I don't know how quickly he jumps into the National Hockey League. I'm always more so about defensemen than maybe any other position other than goaltending, very specific about, players, the defensemen need time in the American Hockey League. Having said that, Lane Hudson won the Calder last year, and Matthew Schaefer's going to win it this year. They're not touching the American League. Jiricek's really good. Now he's on a stacked team right now. Like the Bulldogs are this team of like first round draft picks. Marek Van Acker, Caleb Malhotra is going to be a first round pick this year. Jet Lachenko, like go right down the list. It's a murderer's row. Like they'll probably be there for the Memorial Cup. There's some really good teams. Barry's good, Kitchener's good. Should win the OHL championship. But Jiricek does have that benefit of playing on, one of the best teams in the entire CHL. But long answer to a really good question. Yeah, St. Louis is getting a legit one. I just saw him again last Friday playing against Oshawa.
Yeah, I love it. And I think there's a chance he walks right into the National Hockey League too. We'll see how that plays out.
Good.
Justin Carbonneau is another one who plays in the Quebec League. Who's got
what a shot!
Yeah, he's a bull in a china shot. I never know how to like read into some stats at the junior level, especially the Quebec League. But this guy's putting up goals left and right, man. It's crazy.
The only thing about him is he going to be? And I kind of had this question about Alex DeBrincat when he was shooting the lights out in Erie. I'd always say like, yeah, he's got the great release, but is he going to be able to make the adjustment to the NHL where you don't have a lot of time to get that shot off? Now, DeBrincat obviously has been able to make the adjustment easily.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that I do wonder. Is he like? I don't think is he. When will he be able to make that adjustment? Because Andy, as you well know, like you have more time in junior hockey to get that elite shot off than you do in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll get to the NHL and you're going to realize, ooh, I had a little bit of extra time to take that shot. That time is gone now. So is he going to be able to get himself to position quick enough? And get that shot off at an NHL pace, because the shot already is an NHL shot.
Yeah.
You saw him, like, he's an NHL shot. Is he going to be able to get in place quick enough and get the shot off to make the adjustment to the NHL? That's the question for him.
Yeah.
But
We'll find
good
out.
prospect. Good prospect, man.
And he may need some time in the American League. I don't think there's there's nothing wrong with going to the American League for a little bit. I think he may need some time. I was talking to Jamie Rivers last night on the plane coming back home from Carolina, and looking at a guy like Jay McKee, for example, like Toronto, if they move on from Craig Berube, and
Yeah.
I'm curious your take on what the fallout is going to be. Is it going to be the GM and the coach? Is it going to be just the GM? Just the coach?
Yeah.
How do you see this playing out? I feel like Toronto needs to go in that direction. Everyone's going to throw out Pete DeBoer and all these recycled big heavyweight names, but I
Yeah.
feel like Toronto needs a young, up-and-coming, fresh voice, fresh face, whether it's David Carl in Denver or
Yeah.
Jay McKee type guy for the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's the
Yeah.
direction they need to go in my opinion. Steve Ott's another one.
Yeah, well, listen, Spencer Carberry was on that bench.
Yeah, I know. We talked about that last night.
Spencer Carberry was on that bench.
They let him go.
And they let him go. And I think everybody in the industry looked at Carberry and said, like, there's the next great coach in the NHL. This is Toronto. This is the big city and the big lights and the big team and the big stage and all that. And they like the big move. Like I've wondered about Jay McKee in a lot of different places. Like, he's interviewed for NHL jobs.
Yeah.
Make no mistake about it, Jay McKee has. And he has, like, we'll see what ends up happening this year with the Bulldogs and how far they go. But whether they win the Memorial Cup or not, like, everyone has paid attention to what Jay McKee has done with this team. I think he's, whenever the Bulldogs season is over, that will probably be Jay McKee's last game in the Ontario Hockey League. He's going either onto an NHL bench or, at the very minimum, going on to an American Hockey League bench.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, I have a bias because I really like the person and I really love the player. And I was saying this to him last Friday when I was in Brantford. I was like, I was really happy when the St. Louis Blues paid him, because here's a guy who earned his money and made his living blocking shots, where you're always one shot away from a serious injury and maybe your career being over. And I loved that got rewarded. And it was the St. Louis Blues that stepped up and paid him. Because you remember, like, at that time, like, shot block Anton Volchenkov, like, these guys were not getting paid a ton, because it's a dangerous way to make your money and you're always at risk of being injured. Jay was fearless. He would throw himself in front of every single puck. Teammates loved it, obviously. Coaches adored it. But generally, those guys don't get rewarded. That's why I was so happy that the Blues finally paid Jay McKee. I just loved it.
Yeah.
Just loved it.
It's like a center in football. Now those guys are getting paid nowadays too, those interior linemen. But I'm with you. I remember when he signed here too, because that summer the spring prior to the draft, I had multiple people tell me, like, he was going to be the most sought after, or maybe the best defenseman in the Eastern Conference playoffs that year. The way that he was playing with Buffalo prior to the free agency period when he signed with the Blues, he was catching a lot of eyes and deservedly so, man. Who was the guy from the Blackhawks? I'm forgetting his name. During their heyday, who was blocking everything too when they were winning. The Swede.
Nicholas Charmelson.
Yarmelson, exactly.
And was, again, like, analytics darling, and he was the one guy on the team because, Brent Seabrook, Duncan Keith, like, they were Brian Campbell, they were getting all the headlines. And you talk to the reels and they'll say, like, don't sleep on Chalmers.
Yeah, I know.
That's the guy keeping a lot. Like remember when Nashville had, Suter and Weber, et cetera, and all the reels were like, Ekholm's keeping the whole thing together here.
Right.
Ekholm's got to make sure, like,
it's like Forsling in Florida now. Even a couple years ago, people are like, this guy's unbelievable. He doesn't get enough credit,
Bingo, yeah. We're going to focus on Ekblad and Seth Jones. Like, Forsling's the guy to keep it all together.
You may like this stat. I mentioned this several times in different interviews that I did around the trade deadline. But, when like Robert Thomas was being thrown out there and just having an idea that what it would take to get a Robert Thomas out of St. Louis, knowing that the price tag was so high, and maybe there's only one or two teams who could truly put together a package to get him out of St. Louis. And there's not many teams who can do it.
Correct.
I mean, either based on circumstance because of the assets they currently own, or where they are in the playoffs and whatnot, and what they're willing to give up. But the Utah Mammoth, who are
Yeah.
loaded with prospects. I mean, I always say it's so hard to tank. It's so hard to get a top 3 pick. I mean, it's like, so they were willing to maybe give up 1 or maybe 2 pieces for a big time, um, trade, but they certainly weren't willing to go 3. They've got prospects that lead the OHL in point per game, the Quebec League in points per game, and the Western League in points per game. So
I know
I'm like, they're loaded right now.
they're absolutely loaded, and to the point about like who can put together the package, and you're 100% right. Like whether we're talking like Simashev or TG Ginla, like these are elite level junior hockey players that are ready to make that transition. Simashev there. When it comes to moving someone like Robert Thomas, a deadline deal never made sense to me, because if you're going to put someone like Robert Thomas to market, you want to have the biggest market possible. Like let a team go through the playoffs and fail and realize, man, if we had someone like Robert Thomas, we could have got over that hump, right? Like teams aren't necessarily ready to, and also the salary cap will go up in the summer too, so you can accommodate and play with your cap. I've much more felt that if a Thomas deal was going to happen, and that was going to be the price tag for Robert Thomas, first round pick, couple of prospects, and a top 6 roster player, or a first pairing or second pairing defenseman. There's only, to your point, a couple of teams that could do that right now. Why limit the field? Let a team fail in the playoffs and realize, you know what? No more excuses. We're just going to pay the price. Screw it. We're right there. Go get Robert Thomas. We're not in the green banana business anymore. We don't care. We let someone else ripen these bananas. We need a player right now, and we need someone that can be a top center for our team. That's why that one I always looked at and said, yeah, you know what? That one, to me, if it's going to happen, is going to be a summer deal. I had Robert on my show a couple of days ago, and he said it never got to the point where he was asked to waive, and he never went to Doug Armstrong and said, I want out of here.
Yeah.
I want to trade.
So is that what stood out the most? I was going to ask you. Obviously, you just had
Yeah.
Robbie on. Is that what
That
stood
was
out
the
the
one.
most from that conversation?
That was the one that struck me the most, is that he never asked, and he was never asked. Everybody asked around. Like, that's just, like this is just the nature of trade deadline. And I never believe they would never trade player X, because you never know what the offers are that are coming in. I always talk about, this guy's untouchable. Really? Really? Like, what if there's like an offer out there that completely knocks your socks off? Are you gonna still keep him in the untouchable category? I remember Kelly Rudy saying, when he was playing with the Los Angeles Kings, Rogie Vachon was the general manager, and Kelly said, like, how often do you talk about trades? And Rogie said, every day I do. So would you ever talk about me? He goes, yeah, every single day. And Kelly's like, what? He goes, it's my job to do that. It's my job to understand what the marketplace is. And that's the thing that, come deadline time, I always find funny. Even like throughout the year, it's like, Philadelphia is talking to Los Angeles. Yeah, they should be. And they do every day. Like, just because like teams talk all the time, all day long. Like there are some managers that have, the reputation for being, really aggressive and in on all the conversations. Brad Treliving is like, that phone does not rest. Brad Treliving is in on every conversation, doesn't obviously pull the trigger. Steve Staios in Ottawa, he has that same reputation as well. There are other guys that are more sort of lean back and aren't as aggressive with the communication as other teams, but I always sort of chuckle when I say, these two teams are talking. Yeah, they talk every day.
Yeah, I know. That's their job.
That's the job.
If you're not talking, then you're not doing your job. No, for sure. And listen, the Blues can stand on that now, especially with Robert Thomas, the way that he's playing. He is back to playing at the level that we've seen from him in the past when he's on top of his game. And it's interesting because Braden Shen's no longer here, and just how he's kind of asserted himself as this is his team in such a short period of time. I mean, just little things that I think give him confidence, like taking the ceremonial puck drop. You don't think about it. Going to the penalty box when the referee's sorting out penalties. Jim Montgomery was saying yesterday, we were talking at the morning skate, how vocal he's been on the bench, how vocal he is during timeouts. And I talked to Robbie about that yesterday. He said, well, I've always been like that, but I think now with Shen no longer here, he's like, hey, this is my team. It's a big opportunity. And the Blues can can say, "Hey, we never asked him to wait. That's just media speculation." So we'll see how it plays out moving
That
forward.
is, you know what? Technically, that is 100%.
Ex
You're right. There's the escape hatch there. 100% true.
100%. We
100%
we
true.
never
Yeah.
asked him to wait. We never talked to him about it. That's just that's what you guys do. That's media speculation. So I hope that they build around Robert Thomas and they don't look to move him because at 26 years old, and I watched him. Seth Jarvis is on the ice last night. I watched him play against Bo Horvat, and this guy's the best player on the ice. He didn't make Hockey Canada, didn't make the Olympic team, probably didn't
Yeah.
deserve to make it based on the season he had this year. But from a talent standpoint,
Here-
he certainly belongs in that group.
The thing that I've been telling everybody about, and I don't have to tell you or any of your followers here at all, that line with Holloway and Snuggerud,
Mhm.
everyone in St. Louis knows. Everybody knows how good these three are together, and specifically Holloway and Thomas. Like you look at the underlyings, it's like the best underlyings I ever saw, for like combinations like Chara and Bergeron in 2011, where
Mhm.
they were together, nobody else touched the puck. But Holloway and Thomas have something really special.
And
I asked them about
Snuggerud's
that
been
on the show
amazing.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Snuggerud, you see that release the other night on the pass
Yeah.
from Thomas from the corner?
Oh yeah.
Like,
His goal last night, just crossing the blue line, like he's got so much torque on his stick. Uses a very low flex. Gets it's a very whippy stick. But Brandon Bussey probably had never seen a shot from Snuggerud ever, and I don't think he expected him to get that much on it coming across the blue line. But that's
man,
who he is and what he was doing prior to coming to the NHL. So all of a sudden now you just get open. When Thomas is feeling it and he's got that confidence and that swag going, keep your stick on the ice and get open because that puck is
he's
coming at any time.
I keep reminding everyone who will listen, when he's healthy, he is one of the best playmakers and one of the best passers in the like.
Pure
This is the
passers,
one
yeah.
thing. You're right. This is the one thing too, because we always use assists as our proxy for who's a good passer.
Yeah.
Oh, if you're a good passer, again, that's not true. And this is the one thing that I'm wondering with the new technology, whether it's the wearables or something in the puck. I'm really curious to find out who is the best passer
Connected
in the
passes
NHL.
is a
Yes, all of that.
stat that
Yeah.
people pay attention to. Or
Like,
can track.
because it always doesn't just show up just on assists. Could we just look at assists and go, oh, that guy's the best passer?
Yeah.
That's not necessarily true and I would put Robert Thomas up against just about everybody
No.
in the NHL when it comes to
Yeah.
passing.
And there's not that many of them. The Joe
No,
Thorntons, the
not.
Backstroms of the world. We don't have that many
Mark
pure
Savard, like
passers.
those
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Those guys. Yeah, Robert Thomas is very much in that mix. But yeah, like that battery with him and Holloway and Snuggerud's shot is just disgusting.
No, exactly. And now Snuggerud's got 15 goals. He's going to flirt with 20, probably get north of 20 before it's all said and done. People would take that coming into his rookie season. All right, only a few more minutes left with you, so I want to get a few things. Get your take. What do you make about the leak conversation? Why is everybody so caught up in the leak? These trades are always announced prior to the teams announcing it. I feel like on trade,
Yeah.
somebody's leaking everything all the time. I see all these insiders tweeting the exact same thing within 5 seconds of one another. Somebody's leaking that information too. Why is
Yeah.
this one all of a sudden such a big deal?
Because this one had a couple of different pieces to it, right? And like I'm like you, I don't, because I've done that beat before. Like it's hard, it's really hard. And the thing about it is, it's kind of like a puzzle, and everybody has a little piece of it. And just because you add to, and sometimes it may seem like you're taking away or taking a shot at someone else's reporting, doesn't necessarily make it true. Like there's a number of different factors that go into a deal, and two things that seem like they're mutually exclusive can actually be similar, right? Like when you talk about, oh, you know what, the deal still isn't done here, for a certain defenseman who may have been on his way to Buffalo because there's a no trade here that still needs to be worked out. That's not knocking someone's information. It's just adding another piece to the entire conversation. That's how I look at it. I don't look at it as, someone's attacking someone else's reporting. I look at it as that is one, like, because there's only so much you can do on a tweet. That's one small piece of it, and then there's other pieces which are just sort of reminders that in some cases it's a formality, in other cases it's a major conversation, and I think that's what we saw most recently with everyone chasing who's leaking and who's saying what to everybody. Here's the thing about hockey, and you all know this: everybody talks to everybody always.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people know a lot more about what's going on than what they report.
Yes.
Because everybody talks in this industry. There are just too many levels, too many layers, too much information getting shared up and down, this floor, that floor, basement, all of it, that everybody talks.
Yeah, I just don't know why it's the feeling is it had to have come from one or the other, either Buffalo or St. Louis. I mean, there's other people in the know as well, and there's other ways that this
100%.
information gets out, which is why, again, a lot of times you see people tweeting the exact same thing within 5 seconds of one another. Um, so
And, that,
anyway,
and that's because there's one person that generally they want to keep all those people on their side.
okay, yeah. And
You know how that
so they don't
works.
want to give anyone like the scoop ahead of somebody else, so they just fire off the group text.
How come you gave it to him and not me? You
Right,
don't need.
right.
So it's just bam,
Okay.
all sent at the same time.
Yeah. But I mean, if you know Doug Armstrong, Alexander, I mean, they're not tweeting insiders or texting insiders. I can promise you that.
Might be yelling at them.
Yeah, he might
Well,
yelling at them.
we've all been on the other end of that.
Oh
one.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Hey, real
Yep.
quick, what'd you make
Yeah,
of
man.
the Toronto? Austin Matthews takes the hit. Nobody jumps in.
Yeah, this is well, one, not good. It's never good when your captain takes a knee-on knee and everybody on the ice cuts their laces. We saw that last year with Steph Nason and Tage Thompson, the lowest
Yeah.
point of the lowest, a pretty bad season for the Buffalo Sabres, to the point where Tage was on with you and Cam, right?
Yeah, he
Talking
was.
about how it still burns him and he still thought about it.
Right.
Like that was still in the back of my mind. Where's my team? I threw out the tweet on Thursday night after it happened. I think back to what Anthony Stewart, longtime NHLer, his father, who is one of the most interesting people.
Norm, my boy.
Well, he's just like, honestly, Andy, he's like one of the most interesting people you will ever meet.
For sure.
He always has a saying, which is, "Are you a club or are you a team?" And there's a lot of clubs out there pretending they're teams, and then something like that happens, and you find out if you're a team.
Well, it's good.
And I saw that with the Buffalo Sabres last year. We all saw it. Nason runs at Tage Thompson, and everyone does elevator practice. Stand around, look around. You gonna do anything? You gonna do anything? You gonna do anything? Oh, I guess we're just gonna go back to the bench then. And saw the same thing out of Toronto yesterday, Andy. It was it's a tough look, especially how Craig Berube played.
And that's your head coach.
Like,
Hey, what did he say the other day? I can't give him this. I can't give him heart.
Heart and head, right? And
Yes,
that was a tough one too. But like I look at that, and you know what happened if Berube was on the ice when that happened? Like his eyes were rolled back in his head, and it would have rang no sail. Like his wires would have crossed. It doesn't matter who it was.
Plus, it's the captain who's down, and what's he supposed to say? Like, to try to rally the group together, we got to stand up for one another when he's talking about himself. You know what I mean? It's like somebody step in and protect me. So then Morgan Riley comes out. It's like I'm sure whatever. I got to get your take on one more thing though. The Toronto playing in Toronto. Patty Maroon had his comments. I tweeted something out about Roman. I didn't think it was going to get that much attention on it. And listen, it's Roman. I'm not trying to say it's just as much pressure or more pressure to play in St. Louis. That would be foolish to say. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure that comes with playing in Toronto. But I think sometimes it is overblown. I think there's pressure to play in Montreal, but those guys seem to be having the time of their life right now. So if you win, it's great. If you lose, this is what we talk about. What's your take on it? Give me the read that you have on it. And you're part of the media in Toronto, and you have been for a long time.
I am. So here's my take on it is, every team in the NHL wishes they had, as Patty Maroon said, 25 guys in the room after every practice. Because that means that your team, as far as the NHL goes, is financially successful, and there is that much interest. And we talk a lot, Andy, about growing the game, making it bigger. I assure you, there's more than 25 guys inside an NFL dressing room after practice and after games.
In every market.
You should want that. And if you don't, then stop talking about growing the game. Because growing the game leads to that in all 32 markets. Everyone can laugh about Montreal, New York, Toronto, and look at all the media. Oh, it's crazy. It's too much information out there, and it's a distraction for the players, and they hate it. We live in an economy right now where one of the best things you can have is attention. Like, we live in the attention economy, right? And if you're shying away from a situation because there's too much attention on you, just close the doors. Just shutter the franchise. Because I assure you, there are 32 owners around the NHL that want that level of attention and everything financially that comes along with it. And if you don't like that, that's fine. That's cool. But please stop talking about growing the game.
I've just talked to so many players who have played there. I mean, the benefits of being a Maple Leaf and how protected they are by the PR staff and by the organization.
And can before I forget, I want to interject on one thing that you're touching on here. First of all, you're 100% right. And second of all, it is a place where you make your own legacy if you're successful. I'll give you an example. Go back and look at the 1967 Toronto Maple Leafs team that won the Stanley Cup, last Maple Leafs team to win the Stanley Cup. Look how many of those players are in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And if they played on any other team, ask yourself, would they be in the Hockey Hall of Fame?
Good question.
There's a lot, because it is the biggest stage. Right? And if you're even just moderately successful, Hockey Hall of Fame is right across the street.
And you get paid. When you're a free agent, you go sign elsewhere too. You could be overvalued as a player too.
100% true. That's why, like, to the point, yeah, when it's bad, it's really bad. Montreal, like, when it's great, Montreal is fantastic. You know, this, first of all, the city's great. The fans are outstanding. When it's bad, it's awful. And as Brian Burke would always tell me, it's a tough place to manage, because if things are going bad, you're stupid in 2 languages, not just one. So you really hear it. Well, when things are great, it's amazing. And that's like, when things are going great, you probably want more than 25 media in there to tell you how good you are.
Yeah, I'm with you. Great stuff, Jeff. We appreciate it as always, man.
Awesome. Thanks, Tony. You be good.
Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon. All right, Jammer's with us. Where are we this week?
It looks like I'm in prison, but this hotel has no artwork in it. I'm in San Francisco. Did a couple of games for the Sharks in studio for the pre and post. So heading home today.
Don't ever chirp my setup again when I'm on the road with this. When you're going to show up with that setup all grayed out, it's making me dizzy looking at that.
Yeah, I'm not going to show you the bed area because I have a little bit more class than some people, but it's fine. It's fine. I digress.
I love it. I was just talking with Jeff Merrick. He was just on, and we just kind of got into it. I got to get your take, though. Austin Matthews, when he gets hit and nobody jumps in, I'm just curious your angle on it. Like, what's something that maybe people aren't discussing when you look at something like that? What goes on behind the scenes, you think, inside that dressing room?
Well, I think the challenge is that sometimes it's just the wrong guys on the ice, right?
And especially when it's Gudas, who's going to kill anybody who goes after him.
But I think the pack mentality takes care of that. If everybody goes, there's not going to be a fight, right? The problem is nobody went, which is the worst look ever. It's everybody has to go. And what happens is you end up just, pairing up. There's really not going to be a fight if the right guy isn't on the ice. So I think that it's unfortunate. That's where the game is. Like, when I came in, now we're talking a long time ago, 30 years ago, every team had a heavyweight. Every team had 3 or 4 guys that were considered middleweights. And every team had a total of 6 guys that would fight. I think now you've got maybe 2 or 3 guys. There's maybe 2 or 3 heavyweights in the entire league. And then you've got like maybe 2 or 3 guys on the entire roster that would fight. And so there's less guys that are more inclined to do that. That's just not their reaction. It's not in their instinct,
But to your point, you don't even have to fight. You just got to go jump them and to fall down, and basically.
You don't have to fight. That's the issue. If I were the coach, it's hard for Craig Berube because he was a savage, right? Like, he did the toughest job in hockey, but I think the point that needs to be made is from even a guy like, is Mike Van Ryn still on the staff there?
Yeah.
He would be a good example to say, guys, I never fought, but you've got to jump in there. Pack mentality. We all get in there as a unit. There actually wouldn't be a fight, but we all got to respond at the same time.
I think Chief has done too much of trying to establish himself as a coach in the other direction. Like when he was here all the time, he didn't want to talk about fighting, and he would always say publicly, I don't care about fighting. The game's changed. I'm a hockey coach. and I can coach hockey. I don't coach fighting. I don't coach toughness. So I don't think he's always encouraging guys to be that guy. You know what I mean? As much and maybe he should implement some of his personality into the team. It's not like the St. Louis. I mean, the team that won the cup, he took over. They just had guys on the team who naturally would get involved and they played heavy. This is about fighting. Like Sundqvist and Barbashev weren't fighters, right? But they had guys, Bomeister was a big guy. They just had guys who understood their roles, Bozak, Maroon, obviously. But nobody's like fighting all the time. And he never really liked to talk about that. But maybe he should try to institute a little more of his personality into these teams if he can, because that could not have sat well with him. And he even said as much after the game.
Yeah, that's a difficult challenge, right? Because I think in his defense, he was perceived in one way for 20 years, 25 years. And what gets lost in his view probably is his hockey acumen, his understanding of the game,
Exactly.
and redefining himself as the hockey mind. What he didn't want to do is let the fighting component, who will always be a part of who he is, to distract people from his understanding of the game, his ability to make adjustments and game plan and do all those things that great coaches do. So I certainly understand it. I would agree with you that the emotional part probably has to be really difficult for him. I preferred and always did prefer a coach that was a little bit more animated, a little more like I don't think Joe Quinn, he was more of an offensive defenseman, I believe, when he played. But he is intense behind the bench.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about the fighting, but that emotion, I'll say that. The emotion, I think he could bring out a little bit more, because I think teams and players feed off of that emotion. I like that emotion.
Yeah. And well said, Jamal. I agree with everything. But I don't want people out there to confuse what I'm saying for lack of intensity from Chief either, because he's probably the most intense coach in the league. And if you have thin skin or you get your feelings hurt easily, he is not the coach for you, because he will grind on you and say things that you've never been said to before. So not everybody can handle that either. But it just kind of shows the bigger issue with Toronto a little bit. It's just not a good look, even though they won the game. The Blues win last night, Jamal. Jordan Binnington played his best game of the season. This guy was unbelievable. Just vintage Binnington. The saves he was making, how he was playing the puck, how dialed in he was incredible. And people always talk about, although the Blues are ruining their ability to get this top 5 pick and the top 3 pick or the first overall pick. This is why it's so hard to tank. And it's nearly impossible to get a top 3 pick, especially when you have goaltending. Because as much as everyone talks about, well, I want this or I want that, you think the players in there care about the first overall pick, or the coaches care about getting a top 3 pick? No, I get why management maybe would, and I get why the owner maybe would, but those players don't care. And when you have goaltending like the Blues have, and then all of a sudden get these other guys now start playing at a high level, it's going to be hard to tank and just go out there and lose the way people want them to.
Yeah, I don't think that's realistic. I think, there's certain things that obviously management can force the coaches to do, not necessarily tactically, but lineup wise.
Sure.
And so I think that's probably the only effect that management can to influence down the stretch the result is, who are the players available? Who is the coach told that this is who has to play? Once that is established, those guys are going out there to win. Those are young guys that want to establish their careers, that want to show the organization for these last 20 games that they're part of the solution in the top 6. There's guys that are scratching the surface that want to show that they're bona fide NHL guys that would help out on the bottom 6. There's guys that are scratching the claw for jobs, for positions. And so you're going to get the best of them, of those young players. You're going to get the best of them. And the nice part about, for the organization, in my opinion, to turn it into a positive, is there's less pressure now for these young guys to perform. So you're going to get a truer view of what they could become, because the pressure is not there. It's eliminated. Now, the challenge for them next year is to do it with pressure, understood, but that's part of the next process for them. And there's stages to all of this, I'm sure, as they go to build out their team. But what you want to do as a young player is you want to make their decision this summer, and when they shape their team, you want to put your name in that little box of the and move it up. So you're gonna get guys playing hard.
And to your point, I mean, Theo Lindstein, who's a first-round pick in 2023, he's now up. They had 3 first-round picks in 2023. All 3 have been in the lineup the last 2 games. And with Dvorsky and now Otto Stenberg, in addition to Lindstein, you got Logan Mailloux, who's now playing, getting power play time. He's playing north of 20 minutes every single night and looking like a really good player, Jamal. I mean, I was reading about Zach Bolduc. I don't think he scored a goal in like 25 games or something. Everyone was so upset when they made that deal. This is why you have to be patient, especially with a young defenseman. But when you see the raw ability right off the bat with his ability to skate and how he handles the puck and his offensive awareness and his instincts in the offensive zone, you just got to pump the brakes and let this guy get some experience. When the season started, he had played fewer than 10 games in his NHL career. So what is he at now? Close to maybe 60 or 70 games for his career. This guy has a chance to be really, really good if he continues on this trajectory.
Yeah, I love the way he, like you talked about it, when he goes into the robes in the offensive zone. You can't teach that. His ability to understand when to stay, when not to stay, to come in and come out, to create offense. That's the new age defenseman. It's not just walking the line and shooting the puck. It's, depending on what the team is doing defensively, it's those interchanges. It's using the high ice. It's sometimes you're the first guy in. Sometimes you hover and stay around in the offensive zone. He's got tremendous instincts in that regard, and now you're starting to see those. And give credit to the coaching staff that have empowered him to go take those chances, because at the end of the day, their circumstances different. And the nice thing is you're seeing that he has that ability. The challenge is going to be next year when you hit start again, you let him do the same things. There's going to be mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be turnovers. Can't tell me that Quinn Hughes doesn't turn the puck over. Can't tell me that Hudson doesn't turn the puck over. Zeev Byam doesn't turn the puck over. That's the evolution of the new young defenseman. They're playing on the offensive side of things, and they're going to turn it over. They're going to make mistakes, but it's a risk reward on how much they do it and when they do it.
Yeah. And veteran guys like Zach Werenski, and then there's a lot of guys. I mean, and you got to live and die with that. I used to talk to TJ Oshie about that when he was a young player. And, he would drive coaches crazy. He'd turn pucks over at the blue line, turn pucks over. And I'd always say, Ilya Kovalchuk turns pucks over. I watch all these superstars. They turn pucks over all the time too. Sometimes you got to let them play through it, and it's how they adjust and how they adapt as they get more experience. But man, and they don't have a lot of pressure, but the Blues are their goaltending's too good to just all of a sudden just tank. I mean, the way these guys are playing right now, Joe Hofer, who's going to be the starting goaltender for Canada, in my opinion, 4 years from now, and very well could be the starting goaltender in the World Cup 2 years from now. He is so good. And now Binnington playing like vintage Binnington, even if they're getting outplayed as they were last night against Carolina. Carolina just destroyed St. Louis in the first period. But then all of a sudden it's a 1-0 game coming out of the first, and they tie it up, then they get that next goal, and all of a sudden they win a game that it probably shouldn't win. So that's called stealing a game by the goaltender.
Yeah, I love that. I think that similarly with the Sharks last night, they had the same thing with Nedeljkovic. I think they're outshot like 11-2, and we're leading 1-0 after the first.
Yeah.
And when you have goaltending like that, it allows your team to catch their sea legs, to get themselves, to comport themselves, to get their game going. And also, most importantly, give them the belief that they're going to find a way to get it done because our goaltender's standing on his head. So it permeates throughout the entire lineup, that confidence. It translates immediately within the game when your goalie, when the bench and the players realize, all right, our guys on tonight, we have a chance.
I want to be careful how I say this because I've got so much respect for Braden Shen and Justin Falk too. But it's amazing. Two aging players who can still play and obviously have an impact and certainly will on their teams as they make a playoff push. But the Blues just they look more connected. They look quicker. They look faster without these guys in the lineup. Is that possible? I guess it is. I mean, just watch the way they're playing right now.
Yeah, I think that, listen, it doesn't take away from their accomplishments and who they are as players, but you just described two guys that I wouldn't say 5 years ago were fleet of foot, right? So that doesn't mean they're not effective. They still can't produce. They're still not great players. They don't add value, but they don't help your pace, right? And you got to think about where Braden was going to be slotted in, going forward. Would he be comfortable with that role? Not even being on the second unit power play, perhaps. So he's in a better place, and I think you increase your team speed. Let's be honest, we've been saying this for 2 or 3 years that they've got to get younger and faster, and we've oftentimes put a lot of that on the bottom six, but I think it goes throughout the entire lineup that the pace of how they play needed to go up, and I think that'll allow Monty even to make adjustments in game and game to game, because now he has the ability to do that.
Yeah, and Philip Broberg was incredible last night. This guy is almost like there's two or three of them, of the same guy on the ice. I mean, he's the first one back, then he's below the goal line in the offensive zone, then he's got the puck off the rush. Like, this guy is just so good, man. It's amazing to be able to skate like that, Jamal.
Yeah, it's those all the young players watching out there. It's most important skill you can have is
Oof.
your ability to skate.
Yeah. Robert Thomas, he's just, listen, and he hasn't hit that adversity yet since the Shen trade, but since the Shen trade and since he's come back and played after the Olympics, he missed the first 2 games after the break because of a family issue that he had to attend to, but he's playing back at the level that we've seen from him in the past, which is at the highest level. I mean, I'm watching Seth Jarvis last night. I see Bo Horvat. I see some of these other forwards that made Canada's Olympic team over him. They're not as good as Robert Thomas when he's on his game. Now, were they more deserving than Thomas to make the team based on the seasons they've had? Sure. I mean, Thomas has not had a great year. But now he's turned it on over the course of this last little stretch, and obviously what we saw and what we've seen from him throughout the course of his career. Jamal, little things now by not having Shen here. I think it's just kind of allowed him to kind of expand his wings and say, listen, this can be my team. And I think he's taking it upon himself to make it his team. And when you're going out for the ceremonial puck drop or you're going to the penalty box when the referee is sorting out penalties, and now Jim Montgomery is telling me how vocal all of a sudden this guy is during timeouts and on the bench during the game, and his body language looks more positive. Although Thomas told me yesterday he's always been vocal on the bench and during timeouts. I just think he sees an opportunity for him to take this team over, and he's running with it. Could you see it the same way?
Yeah, I think that's we all want it to happen in different ways, but there's a pecking order, right? There's a pecking order, and as a player, you see it, you feel it's unspoken. But that, to your point, now that Shenner is not there and he was the physical captain, you are able to trust. And those instincts for Robert have always been there. That's why he's probably saying, listen, I've always done that. But he doesn't notice that he's doing it more often and maybe a little bit more
Assertive.
forcefully,
Yeah.
assertively. And so I think that that's always been his instinct. That's what he's talking about. But for people who are watching, he's probably unconsciously doing it more. And that's just a natural progression in his leadership path. And not surprised in the least. I think that's important for him to take that next step. Because who else is it going to be, right? It's got to be him. So
Got to be him. And I know people throw out Jake Neighbors and whatnot, but it's almost like Neighbors is in the same spot, in my opinion, that Thomas was in when Shen was still here and O'Reilly left. And it was just obvious to kind of give it to Shen. He was the next in line. And that probably upset Thomas a little bit, but it proved to be the right decision. If Robert Thomas is going to be here, I don't see another option in terms of who you put that captaincy on.
yeah, I would agree. I think that all of his habits are going to have to tighten up too, though,
Mhm.
right? Like when you're the guy, and I think that all of those things are going to have to come into play. And it's going to be incumbent upon him to take that next step.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. The Blues now are 6 points out. Dare I say it, Jamal? I mean,
Yikes.
could they really make a push here? I mean, is this possible? They got so many teams to jump over, but they're 6-1-1 since the break. What do you make of this?
It's unbelievable. I don't think it'll happen, but you got to jump a few teams and all that stuff. But that would be crazy if they did. That would be crazy. I don't think it'll happen, but good on them for finishing strong, and you still got a long runway ahead of them. They got to continue to play hard, and they're going to be playing some teams that are fighting for the playoff lives. So there's also the role of spoiler that comes into effect as well. That I do remember taking on and finding some enjoyment in.
Okay, so the team, I'm going to run a few teams past you before I let you go that are ahead of St. Louis right now in the standings. You tell me if they're contender or pretender, okay?
Yeah.
Are they going to make a push to get in, or are they going to fall off? Utah.
Pretender.
Really? You don't think they'll make the playoffs, or you do?
No, I don't.
Utah, okay. So they got a 6-point lead ahead of San Jose, who's in the second wild card spot. San Jose.
Yes.
Seattle.
No.
Kings. Los Angeles Kings.
I think they find a way.
So there's your 2 wild card spots, San Jose and LA. Nashville.
No.
Winnipeg.
No.
And then you get to St. Louis. So you think those are the teams? So San Jose and LA are the teams that you think have the best chance to get it? See, because I was just in San Jose. I watched them play. I know you watch them play a ton and do their games. I just feel like they're one team with Celebrini on the ice, and they're a completely different team when he's not on the ice.
Very true. I think that, hopefully they got to get Eklund going. They got to get Wenberg going. Toffoli's got to chip in. Like, they are way too top heavy. There's no question about it. But the kid is so good. He's willing them into games, finding a way to get them points. They're going to need to get solid goaltending, of course. But I think that they're excited about this opportunity. I think that they're going to find a way. And if he does get them in the playoffs, honestly, like, to me, he's the Hart Trophy winner. Like, you look at who he has. He's got twice as many points as the next person on his team. Most teams have a 1-2 punch. He doesn't have that. He's 19. Like, if you define MVP by most valuable to their team, like, I think he's the MVP. But he's still got to make the playoffs. He doesn't make the playoffs, I don't even think he's a finalist.
And I say that about San Jose, but they're still ahead of schedule. I didn't expect them to be in this position. So even if they don't make the playoffs, it's been a successful season. Would you put Matthew Schaefer in the Hart Trophy conversation?
Ooh, that's interesting. I wouldn't, but I think he definitely is in the Norris. Like, to me, he ends up being a finalist for the Norris, and then is not a finalist for the MVP.
Because I don't think the Islanders are where they're at without him either.
It's a great point. That's a tough one, right?
I know.
Because you're leaving somebody out. It's fun to have those conversations, but you're talking about 5 guys, and now you're leaving 2 out that have had unbelievable years.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. Who brings you to Hockey Sense each and every week, Jammer?
Well, first of all, it's Bartolino's. Bartolino's has 5 restaurants. Bartolino's South, Bartolino's Osteria, Chris's Pancake and Dining, Chris's at the Docket, and Bartolino's Twin Oaks. They forge many lasting relationships with their customers. Their family model, cook good food, serve plenty, 50+ years in business. Only 2 places to dine at Bartolino's or at home. I pick Bartolino's.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. All right. Dobbs Tires and Auto Centers.
Well, I'll just tell you a personal story of why they're so special. Obviously I'm friends with Dustin, and, I go out to check out the house, and my idiot self thinks I can drive around at construction site and not expect anything to happen. Lo and behold, like, get a hole in a tire, got to replace it. They replaced 2 of them. Do you think you would learn your lesson? No, I go back out there again, driving it. Then another tire goes. Now I have to replace 4 tires. But the best part is they get it in, up, fixing out the same day, and make sure that I get the quality tire that I want at a reasonable price. And most importantly, I was only without my car for a matter of hours. They're just great people that diagnose your car. It doesn't matter what you drive, a light truck, van, EV, hybrid, whatever it is. They'll also do oil changes, whatever you need diagnostically. fix. They'll take care of you. Family owned, over 40 locations, St. Louis wide, all around the region. Go to Dobbs.com for more.
Who puts the in spa?
Oh, you know it's Spas and More. They're a local master spas dealer at Sunset Hills and Overland Park. Mike Leahy's the owner, and his daughter takes care of things. Angie Hess, she's unbelievable. They deal with the master spas, which is American made in Fort Wayne, Indiana. They also have chili goat tubs with the Michael Phelps branded, which is unbelievable. Can't wait to get mine. And they know what the thing about it they'll do. They offer high quality hot tubs, swim spas, cold tubs, infrared saunas for all of your health, wellness, and relaxation needs. Turn your backyard into the oasis of your dreams with a master spas from Spas and More. Spas and More located at 12957 Gravois Road in Sunset Hills, where we put the
in spa.
in spa. There you go.
All right, Jammer, safe travels, man. We'll see you. I'll be on the road next week. I don't know where you're going to be, but I'm sure we'll be talking to you next Friday as well. And then back in studio 2 weeks from today. So look forward to catching up with you. And good luck to Crew. I know they're headed to USA Hockey Nationals, right? I mean, there's several teams in St. Louis who are headed. So congratulations to the 2012s and the 13s and the U16s and the U18s, all the teams that have made it out of St. Louis. That's great news for St. Louis hockey.
It is. The 13s don't get to go. We're the first year for our
Trigo. Okay.
There you go. So I think there's 3 teams. Yep, we're excited.
Okay. Well, enjoy, man. And where's that at? In Green Bay?
Plymouth.
Plymouth.
We're in Plymouth.
Okay.
So we're excited. We play Caesars first, then Mid Fairfield, then Colorado, and then I don't know the rest of it. We got 5 games in a row. Starts next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. All right. Best of luck, man. We'll be in touch.
Appreciate it.
Okay. See you, Jammer. All right. We thank both Jeff Merrick and Jamal Mayers for joining us. Great stuff from both of them. Fantastic stuff, man. Love having both those guys on. Love it when Jeff Merrick joins us, and certainly always enjoy my conversations with Jamal Mayers. Jeff Merrick just had Robert Thomas on his show. You can check that out. And always listen to whatever content Jeff is bringing out or putting out. I'm Andy Strickland reminding you to keep your head up and your stick on the ice. We'll talk to you again next Friday.